to my YouTube channel at Beth Jordan, Chat With Me 23. And it's late in the evening in the Scottish Highlands. And I was thinking about the many podcasts that I have already done, approximately 23. And thinking also about all the many authors that I've actually been chatting with in the past year and a half, approximately. And all the wonderful people I've met and the stories I've heard from them, how they came to write their books, what motivated them to write their books, what compelled them to become writers and authors, and most importantly, why they had to self-publish their books. Because in today's world of publishing, it's really quite difficult to get an agent who will probably believe in you, who will really love your work and put it in front of a publisher. And then to go through the whole publishing process is something else. So all the authors that I've actually interviewed so far have self-published. Some have found it very easy, some have found it instant success, others have struggled with the constant consistency required to market your book. It's not easy. Putting all of that aside, though, I just want to remind my listeners and readers of the many stories and books that have been promoted on my YouTube channel at Beth Jordan, Chat With Me 23. The very first one was, in fact, by R.K.J. Adams, Wasn't Me, Miss, an educator. So the wonderful story about how she came to write children's books after a long, long career in education, ending up by being a headmistress and then retiring. Next one, that was a complete surprise to me, was by Dr. Rona Morrison. I Don't Talk to Dead Bodies. Really? In fact, she's a forensic psychiatrist, and her story changes my own attitude to that of people who have mental health problems. And then along comes Jackfruit Treasure Trap. I always get that word wrong, by Matthew Bird. I love this. I have a great passion for swashbuckling pirates, the high seas, the Far East, and hunting for treasure. I'm always hoping to find a treasure somewhere. Actually, I realize I have found the treasures. Chatting with my authors, that's a big treasure for me. And then my very good friend, Richard Thomas, who writes his first book called The End of the Line. And Richard spent years and years and years going around London transport stations, exploring every single branch of the London Transport underground station and overground station, taking photographs, chatting with the people that he met on the station, outside the station, and all the treasures of the places that he discovered along the way. I've interviewed children's authors, one of them being Diane Hull, Be Proud to Be Blue, introducing children to the concept of it's okay to be who you are. Don't try to be somebody else because you are you. And it's a really good series of books that she has written and can be found on her website, which if you go to the actual video about her book, Be Proud to Be Blue, Diane Hull, you'll discover a lot more. Next one, An Adoptee's Journey by Gaynor Cherian. So this story is from the perspective of somebody who's been adopted and what it's like to be an adoptee. And she writes her story in a very unusual form, and that is through letters. She writes to people that she's met along the way, to her adoptee mother and father, until she eventually finds her own mother, and what happens in the relationship when she meets. Was it easy? Was it difficult? Was there joy? Read the book and find out. This is one of my favorites. Oh, sorry, Beatrix, the Time-Traveling Collie by Deborah Murphy. I love collie dogs. I always have. And although I don't own a dog, if I did own a dog, it would be a collie. This is a wonderful story about Beatrix, who has an amazing owner who loves to walk in the Scottish Highlands, walking through all the Munros, and how she actually helps to rescue her owner when she has a heart attack on top of a mountain. And Beatrix time travels, and every now and then she disappears, and her owner doesn't have any clues to where she's gone until suddenly one day she comes back and she says, "Mom, do you know where I go?" Her mother says, "I have an idea." She starts to tell her mother where she goes. Wonderful story, full of creativity. The Alchemist Within by J.E. Greetham. This is a personal development book. And I really like this story about the magic that we have within us. And how do we tap into that magic to help us create and become the people we truly believe we are, but we can't? Well, Jan gives you some really good tips about how to find the magic within you. Read out and find out. Another one, The Life Machine by Dave Pitt. This is, I'd say, paranormal mixed with detective and crime work. He really is a powerful writer, and he will take you to places that you might find a little bit difficult to go to, but go with him because it's really well worth it. The Bumps Ahead. A short story, punchy, full of poignancy by Nick Finney. He writes about adoption from a father's perspective and what it's like to actually adopt a child and what is entailed in adopting a child. It is not easy. Can take years in the process of the adoptive agency finally saying, yes, you are fit to adopt a child. I felt very moved when I read his story and his wife's story. And this is a story well worth writing. And I believe that there's a second book coming along the way too. My favorite young fantasy author is Wall Underwood, A Storm Incoming. Yeah, I think he's now written 2, with the third one coming. This is a truly magical book with a difference. It's young teen fantasy, I would call it. And it's very much about the hero's journey, about a young boy, shy young boy, and how the story that he gets involved in together with his mother unfolds, and how he finds his true self, his confidence, his hero within him. And it is a remarkable story, so well written. I hope you get a chance to read it. Another story that I really found very, very moving. In fact, I seem to be interviewing a lot of children's authors or authors who write for children at different age groups. This is Ingenious Creatures and the Secrets of Stumpery Hollow by Becky Davis. I should say Davies, actually. And Becky is a photographer and sees the world through the lens of a camera. And what she sees transports her to a world of 2 children and the adventure that they have. I have read the story. The next one is by Carol Elizabeth Marshall, Creativity Sparked Resilience. Carol is an artist and a poet, and it is her poetry that then sparks her creativity to paint. And her painting is really special. I don't have enough time to read through her poems, but I would highly recommend you to go out and get this book and find out more about Carol Elizabeth Marshall. One of the last in this particular video chat is by an author called Nicholas Baxter. I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce. Ether Sphere Book. Again, it is based, I should say, written for young teenagers. Another kind of fantasy book. He's an American author that I met in October of last year at the Caithness Book Fair. And I was very touched. In fact, he wrote a book called Kazima the Cat. I don't have that book with me. I had to give it back. And Kazima the Cat was a cat with an attitude and stunning illustrations. In fact, in all the children's books that I've actually had the honor of reading, the illustrators really make the story come alive. Some of them have been illustrated by the author themselves, or also have had other illustrators to help them bring their book to life. Anyway, That's all for now. I just hope you will have an opportunity to go onto my YouTube channel at Beth Jordan Chat With Me 23 and take the time to listen to the videos and the stories and the people and see their personality come alive and find out how they came to write their book. And maybe along the way, you'll actually pick up some tips for yourselves if you are thinking of writing a book. I do hope so. And I do hope that I will have the opportunity of chatting with you, my dear listeners, someday soon. Bye for now.